actually depressed for a little while. I was even taking antidepressants. And eventually, it literally took me looking at myself in the mirror one day, and I don't know if I dreamt this or if it's actually real, but I remember, you know, looking in the mirror and like slapping myself in the face, like literally like slapping myself in the face. Because I had to snap out of it, and I was like, you are so much stronger than this because of who God intended you to be, who He made you to be, right? You always hear that thing, that quote, or maybe you haven't, but they say, who you are is God's gift to you, but who you become is your gift to God, right? And at that moment, you know, I just had to snap out of it and tell myself that this isn't worth it. Being depressed, being this sad over something that's not even worth it, I had to snap out of it. But it didn't stop there. The blessings didn't stop there after I decided once and for all I'm going to have faith, and that's it. I'm going to have faith, I'm going to have hope moving forward. And, you know, God blessed me in so many ways that, like, I didn't think I could stand up here and even talk about this without crying. But He's giving me the strength because of the fact that over time, I've gone back to that, I guess I'll call him a brother now, but I've gone back to that brother and I've multiple times told him, you know, I forgive you, things hurt, and we've hurt each other, and trust me, I had my fair share of hurting him as well. But I found so much peace after, and so much healing after, you know, we were both able to forgive each other, and just for myself knowing that, you know, God did have something greater. And I didn't even just tell myself, bad things happen to good people, or I didn't just tell myself that, you know, God has something greater, don't worry. I actually believed it. I made that choice to believe it and to have faith and to have hope. And that is what helped me, you know, in the healing process, right? And I think that was the first time in my life where I actually went through something that big, that I actually fully got over, and now I can look back at it and not hurt one bit. And that's only because of the mercy and the power of God, right? Because I made that choice to let Him in and to be who He wanted me to be because of who He is, right? So I'm just going to call up a sharer. For share, I won't even do an introduction, and he doesn't even need it. So to share for you today for this talk is Chino.
So what are you guys doing today? Good? Alright. So this is actually my first time sharing ever. I've been in the community for actually more than 8 years, I believe. So I'm actually really nervous. But I think God really brought me here to share something with you guys, and hopefully you can take something with it, maybe relate to it or learn from it or anything. But what I'm here to talk about, or to share about, is it's not me being hurt, it's actually me, the people that I've hurt in the past. So this is actually really hard for me to talk about, because even I myself deny myself sometimes, because I can't even admit that I hurt these people. I always try to fight by saying, no, you know, I did the right thing, or, you know, like, I didn't hurt them, like, they're fine. But then I realized that later on that I've actually affected them, you know, emotionally for years and years and years. And so basically, I guess, to start with my past, I was in a relationship. This was years and years ago. This was, I just graduated from college. This was, I believe, 2009. And so I was in a relationship, and I guess, you know, every relationship has its own problems and all that stuff. But for some reason being, I decided not to deal with it. So I decided to break it off. Almost, I guess, guess you could say, like abruptly. So like basically, it came out of nowhere for her. So this girl who I broke up with, it came out of nowhere for her. And when I broke up with her, I couldn't deal, with, I guess, the breakup. I didn't want to deal with the pain. I didn't want to deal with like trying to get over this person. So what I did was, literally 2 to 3 weeks later, I started dating another girl. And I mean, in the back of my mind, I knew that it was obviously like not the best thing to do, but I did it anyway because it filled the void. Like it filled like the pain that I had, or like the burden that I felt I was carrying. So I dealt it by being with another person, and and with that, I guess as I started dating her, I also started becoming inactive in the community. So, and it wasn't like I actually did it on purpose. Like I actually said to myself, you know what? I'm going to be inactive in the community because I'm actually, like now that I think about it, the real reason why I left was because I was embarrassed. Like I didn't want people to see me, as this person who like left this girl and just kind of just moving on to someone else, And now with this person, she was, I guess you could say, it was a secular relationship. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what would that mean. That kind of describes, like I just did things just for my own pleasure, Like we had like premarital sex and all these things that I did just to please myself. And I never thought about, I basically veered away from God. And for a while it was actually good because, temporarily it was, I was happy because I get to do what I want. I thought it was free, I was like, God gave me the freedom to choose whatever, so I choose to be here and I'm happy, so why not, right? Like nothing seems to be wrong with that. And then a year went by, and I guess it started to fade. Like that feeling of, I was just, a good year I was happy and I thought I was in a good relationship, I started to feel really empty, Like when I was with this person, I was just empty. Like it wasn't her that was making me empty. It was myself that was making myself empty because I started realizing, like I just didn't feel anything anymore. I was almost numb. Like I had no, like I really felt at that point, if I didn't know what love really meant. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but like I wasn't sure what it meant, and it wasn't until, coincidentally enough, I've been inactive for more than a year at that point, and at that point, I was invited just for some reason, after being inactive for a year and a half, I was invited to go attend the Theology of the Body, which is by Christopher West. He did a talk. And I don't know, normally you go to talks and stuff, you learn things and you move on to your daily life. You go back to your, your vices and all these things. You go, whatever, party at night, whatever you do, right? And, but for some reason this time it really hit me. It didn't, like as I said, in the like YFC talks and stuff like that, sometimes they make you feel guilty of what you do. Like, it was actually the opposite. It was like, after attending that, I wanted, I actually wanted to be pure. It wasn't like, oh, I felt bad for doing these things, like for having premarital sex or masturbation or all these things, looking at pornography. It wasn't even that I felt bad about that. Obviously, I felt bad about that, but it was more like a positive thing, like I almost felt God's love. And ever since then, I tried, I guess, working into my relationship, because I've started realizing, you know what? Like, I want this. I want to be pure. Like, I want I actually really want to be pure for God, you know. I want to stop all these things. But next thing I knew, you know, she didn't want it. She basically said, no, you know, like, I don't believe in any of that, anything you say. So it was really hard for me because in the end, I ended up, you know, breaking up with her. And and that was really hard for me, actually, because, you know, like, I was happy at one point. I was happy, nothing was wrong with her, nothing I could say was really bad, but then I knew deep down inside there was no depth to it. So I knew God was telling me that I had to leave her. And so ever since I left her, I've been just really focusing on myself. I told myself, you know, like, I'm going to focus on you, God, you know. I actually want to try to be pure this time, you know, and I actually desired it rather than before. Then, oh, it's a bad thing, maybe I'll just try not to do it, but I'll do it anyway. But this time I actually knew what it meant, like the love and how special a relationship is with God. And if you're, you know, and if you're in a relationship with someone, how special that can be, you know. So through that healing process, I guess I could say, you know, I'm still learning. And it's been a really, really hard journey. But I'm really blessed, you know, that God's given me this grace to see His love, you know. Like, to see how much, like, He loves me. Like, I know people always say that, but, like, this time around I really knew that, like, He loved me, and, you know, and yeah, and now I'm just trying to work to be a better person, I guess. So with that, may God be praised.
So thanks, Chino, for that. So just going back to everything that he shared, you realize that, you know, he had to make a lot of choices. And again, it comes back to the decisions that you make in your life, whether they're big or small. And a lot of his had to be big and, you know, really tough choices, but he made them. And in the end, look at the, you know, I can just attest to the kind of brother that he is now. You know, and it's amazing.